Vienna, 1914. On the Ring Street at the Cirque corner. Flags fly from the buildings, rousing cheers for troops marching by. General excitement. The crowd breaks up into small groups. A newsboy. Extra, extra, massacre of Sarajevo, the killer is a Serb. Passerby to his wife. Thank God he wasn't a Jew. First officer to 3 other officers. Hello, Novotny, hello, Pokorny, hello, Povolny, well, Povolny. You're the one who really knows politics, so what do you reckon? Povolny. Oh, firstly, a war nowadays, that's out of question. Pokorny. He's right, we want peace, but not at any cost. Novotny. Yep, as I always say, live and let live, and I doubt for that. First officer. I think we're gonna have a crisis, but who cares anyway? God, yesterday we had a great night, wasn't it? Huh? That girl, that nurse Lily, the best field mattress in the whole battalion. A girl in the crowd. My Frankie boy promised me the liver from a Russian soldier for supper. Her girlfriend. Ah, yeah? My Johnny will bring me the kidneys of a Muslim. They sing. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, fuck the Serbs. An intellectual to his bride. This morning editorial says, living is a joy. Brilliant when he says that all the glory of classical greatness sheds its radiance upon our time. Darling, look at the uplift. Look at the people. There's a ferment in the air. The bride. Where? I mean of the soul. How ennobled the people are. As the editorial says, every man a hero. Who would have believed the times could have changed so much? And we with them. 2 Chinese enter. They keep silent. The crowd. Some Japanese are here. Chaps still in Vienna. The bastard should be strung up by the pigtails. Oh, Lord, leave them alone. They are chinks. Now you're a chink yourself. Now all chinks are chaps. Now then, what are you talking about? Haven't you read the paper? Just look here. It says, such excesses of patriotism can in no way be tolerated. And furthermore, they are liable to harm tourist trade, no? How can we attract the tourists if this kind of nonsense goes on? Shut up! War is war, and if somebody chatters American or Turkish or something... A lady with a trace of moustache appears. The crowd. Ah, look at that. A spy in disguise. Arrest her! Quick, lock her up, quickly! A level-headed man. No, just a minute, gentlemen. Just consider she could have gotten a shave. Who? Now, if she were a spy. He forgot to, so he trapped himself. Who? No, he. No, her. That's just one of those tricks spies have. They let their beards grow so that we won't notice that they're spies. No, don't be so dumb. That's a female spy and she's stuck on a beard trying to pass herself off as a man. No, you idiots. It's a man passing himself off as a female spy. In any case, he's a suspicious character who should be taken to prison. Grab him. The lady is led away by a policeman. The crowd in arms. Never Militarism means more power for the government. And this leads to military dictatorship. In war, everyone pulls rank on everyone else. The military outranks the government, and the government sees no other way out of its humiliation but corruption. Because of the blood that is shed, the world will one day be covered with filth. Voice from the crowd. Kiss my ass! A country teacher in a primary school to his students. Now that higher ideals have burst into full-blown glory upon our horizon, attention to the tourist trade has taken a backlash. It's no cause for alarm, but it is our duty to continue fearlessly and resolutely upon the true and tried road. The tender seeds of the tourist trade, which we carefully planted, and which with the help of our esteemed State Board of Education have become firmly rooted in the fertile soil of your young hearts, must not be crushed under the iron heels of our magnificent battalions, indispensable though they are in our heroic age. On the contrary, these seeds must be nurtured lovingly, now and forevermore. Well, so, let us sing a song, the fine old tune by which we've learned the vows in an age when peace still reigned in our land. Who remembers it? Well, Jackie, do you want to put the class to shame? Nurture the tourist trade, sir. Well done, Jackie. You did put the whole class to shame. I shall notify your father. I'm sure he'll be delighted too. And the tourists bring the hay. Times of hardship have now ended since the tourists have descended. The tourists bring the hay. We welcome you with glee. All our cabs and girls are classy, both are famous for their chassis. We welcome you with glee. We fleece you low and high. Loosen up your golden breeches, we will take your shirt and breeches. We fleece you low and high. I beat the Italians in the... I beat the Russians in the... I've been in the Battle of... in an office, a captain to an inquiring father. Look, just between you and me, you haven't heard from your son in 6 weeks now? Well, be confident that he is dead. And don't you forget, everyone who sacrifices his son in the war takes on the officially demanded proud posture of a hero's father. A friend to a friend. Let me tell you, the dead, they're nothing. But the wounded, they put us in a real mess. Next year, when peace breaks out, all these invalids will be turning the barrel organs. I've got pains in my ears already. Now, wounded, there's neither here nor there. Now, let me tell you, a hero's death or nothing. Pacifist and optimist talking. Pacifist. The imagination of mankind is lagging behind its own technical achievements. Optimist. Does one need imagination to make war? No. Because if you still had imagination, you would not fight the war at all. Why not? Because your own imagination would tell you that mankind has invented the machine only to bring about its own death. You would be aware that you defend yourself against an enemy of which you see nothing more than a puff of smoke, and you would sense that your confidence in your own weapons manufacturer is insufficient protection against the supplies of the enemy's weapons manufacturer. If we had imagination, then we would not allow technology to make our lives difficult, and scientists would not work towards our destruction. Never before has the perception of the world been such a gigantic tininess. In reality, it's only as big as its press coverage. The newspaper reporter gets in the way of truth and makes it therefore unimaginable. Alice Scharleck, the first female war correspondent accredited by the Austrian war industry. Nice to be a front reporter in the middle of the fray. Cannon fire all around me, flying bullets make my day. Again I hit the front, my readers will be stunned. Thank God I'm just in time. Now the show begins. Tell me, Lieutenant, would an artist's art could portray this spectacle with more excitement and passion? Some folks on the home front may call the war the humiliation of the century. I did so myself when I still sat at home. But since I'm in it, I'm gripped by the fever of adventure. Isn't that so, Lieutenant? You are here in the thick of it. Admit it. Some of you don't even want the war to end. Lieutenant. No. Nobody wants the end. The noise of shrapnel is heard. Aha! That was a grenade. No. That was shrapnel. Can't you tell the difference? Not really, but since I've been out here, I have learned a lot. I will learn that too. Oh, it seems the show is over. What a pity. It was first class. Are you satisfied? Oh, satisfied. Satisfied is not the word. Call it patriotism, you idealists. Hatred of the enemy, you nationalists. Call it sport, you modern man. Adventure, you romantics. Call it blissful strength, you philosophers of the soul. I call it liberated humanitarianism. What do you call it? Liberated humanitarianism. If only they would give us an R&R once in a blue moon. But aren't you compensated for that by the imminent danger of death? What a fascinating experience that must be. Do you know what interests me the most? What are you thinking? What emotions are sweeping your heart? A corporal comes. Respectfully reporting, sir, platoon leader Hofer is dead. How simply the common man on the front reports this message. He's as white as a sheet. Call it patriotism, hatred of the enemy, sport, adventure, blissful strength. I call it liberated humanitarianism. I'm gripped by the fever of adventure. Tell me, Lieutenant, what are you thinking? What emotions are sweeping your heart now? The children of Mrs. Kommerzienrat Warnschaffe, Willie crying. Mommy, Mommy, Mary doesn't want to be dead. Mary, no, Mum. We played World War and I had him surrounded and now, but I only wanted to have a place in the sun. He's lying. She kicks him. Oh! I had a position successfully bombed and now she doesn't want to be dead. No, this is not so. This is an enemy lie. First he took my forward post and then he advanced from the flank. I effortlessly repelled his attack and now he says, Mary is lying. Her counter-attack collapsed after our bombardment. We took a substantial number of prisoners. The waves of your attack, which broke up under our fire, were swept back in chaos, leaving many dead behind in our territory. Yes, 3 civilians were killed, amongst them a child. The military damage is minimal. What about you? 2 civilians and 1 woman. The military damage is minimal. She never respects the flag of the Red Cross. It's always the same. Him neither. It's always the same. Who started it all? Me neither. Mother who has listened proudly until now. Mary, darling, just be quiet for a minute. Father says you may play World War, but you must stay within the limits of humanitarianism. Little Willie wouldn't hurt a hair on a fly. He's just protecting his territory as well as he can. He's carrying out the holy war of defense. And us Germans, together with our allies, are the executors of divine judgment. And if little Willie continues to behave this well, Father will bring him the Iron Cross from the lolly shop. Optimist and pacifist talking. A group of grey-bearded recruits walk by. Optimist. Look. They are marching to war. No. They are not marching themselves. They're being marched. What do you mean? Well, I saw a poster at Army headquarters saying, "Free the soldiers." I don't believe it. That would be revolution. How can Army headquarters? Well, they're looking for civilians to volunteer. So gespielt der Gas. Rip all feelings from your heart, break those criminals apart. Fill with dynamite their valleys, bomb their picnics, parties and rallies, dash the skull of everyone, and be proud to be a man. And the fellow who concocted that piece of poetry sits in an office and jumps when a paper bag is popped. Military court. First lieutenant to clerk of courts. Have the death penalties of those 3 young men who stole the rifles the other day been neatly written down in the case list? Yes, sir, but I would like to bring particular circumstances to your attention. I have made the discovery that they are only 18 years old. So, what? Well, in this case, military law doesn't apply. Death penalty has to be reduced to a stiff jail sentence. Pass me the papers, will you? He reads. Well, in this case, let's not change the verdict, let me change the age. They're strapping young fellas anyway. He dips the pen into the ink. Instead of 18, we simply write 21. Now we can hang in good conscience. Steaks and cakes and caviar, roast on toast with sauce tartare. We are the high society of staff. In this regard we never bluff. We hate trench warfare in the rain, 'cause we prefer to drink champagne. Salmon smoked on buttered bread, take preference to heroes dead. Gastronomic satisfaction is better than to die in action. And those who fall show lots of spunk, but we prefer to fall when we are drunk. Steaks and cakes and caviar, roast on toast with sauce. One ought to kill oneself, but one wants to live. In a Protestant church, pastor buzzard. War is a punishment inflicted by the Lord upon the nations for their sins. In combat, killing is no sin, but a service to the fatherland, a Christian duty. Indeed, a service to God. War is a last resort, God's ultimate means of bringing the nations to their senses by force, if they won't let themselves be guided in any other way along the path that God has chosen for them. Therefore, fortify your blood with steel. God wants us to have an iron will. The church bell is ringing. Listen. She is ringing for the last time. then she'll be taken down. We make rosaries from shrapnel and cannons from church bells. We help one another as best we can. No bread, no milk, no smokes, no beer. No bread, no milk, no smokes, no beer. No bread, no milk, no smokes, no beer. Two retired Privy Councillors meet on the street. First Privy Councillor. I can't wait to see if the journal is my favorite magazine, you know, will publish my poem tomorrow. Yesterday I sent it in. You want to hear it? Here. He takes a sheet of paper from his pocket. Second Privy Councillor. Oh, you wrote another poem, eh? Now, what about? Now, you'll see what it's all about. Violent night. Instead of silent night. Get it? Get it? Listen. Violent night. Victory night. Don't be calm. Plan to fight. Round your cannon the gun gets wild. Shoots a Frenchman with mother and child. They sleep in heavenly peace. They sleep in heavenly peace. Isn't it funny how I made it fit? I just put the cannon instead of the Virgin and the Frenchman instead of the Holy Jesus. If the journal publishes it, I'll send it to the staff chaplain. I'm a great admirer of his. Oh, this is really funny, because yesterday I wrote exactly the same poem. I meant to send it to the Muscati, which is my favorite magazine. You say you wrote the same poem? Oh, come off it. Yes, I changed more than you did. It's called in England. Listen. Island night, English night, do you have an appetite? Eat your words now, you treacherous child. You cooked your goose, but it's still running wild. No, you won't eat your geese till you come begging for peace. Alice Scharleck on the Eastern Front. Isn't that the common man I see over there? The average anonymous soldier. He will tell me, in simple words though, what it takes to understand the psychology of war. It is his duty to pull the trigger of the heavy howitzer, ostensibly only a simple operation, and yet the immeasurable consequences of it, both for the overexcited enemy as well as for the fatherland, are connected together by this one pull. Is he aware of it? Does he spiritually measure up the sublimity of his task? Tell me, Gunner, what emotions are sweeping your heart when you pull the trigger of the heavy howitzer? Well, what conclusions do you reach? You see, you are the common man, the average anonymous soldier. You must somehow... what do you think when you pull the trigger of the heavy howitzer? There must be something you're thinking about, okay? So, what are you thinking? The gunner, after a long pause, bugger all. And he calls himself a common man. I just won't bother mentioning him. Isn't that Captain Prash over there in front of his position? His face totally covered in blood. He's holding a head above his head, which he has stuck on a stick. This is my first Italian prisoner. I did it with my own saber. As for my first Russian prisoner, I had him tortured before. But mostly I prefer going after Czechs. 20 people, amongst them prisoners and civilians, I killed with my own hands. At least 150 I had ordered to be executed. I always hit my subordinates in the face, be it with the cane or with the fist, but I've also done a lot for them. In Serbia I raped a beautiful Serbian maid of the country, but then I left her to my soldiers. And on the next day, I had her hung with a mud on the railing of a bridge. I had done hanging. Oh, ho, 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 ho. The rope broke, ho, 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 ho. The rope broke and the girl fell alive into the water. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Da-ram, 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 da-ram. I pulled out my revolver and shot at the girl until she did sink to the bottom, quite dead. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I always fulfilled my duty to the last breath of man and horse. I was decorated and promoted. War demands a strict concentration of all energies. One mustn't let one's courage sink. Heads up, one mustn't let one's courage sink. Heads up, one mustn't let one's courage sink. Heads up. Anna sits at her table and writes a letter. Dearly beloved husband, I beg to inform you that I am in trouble. I am expecting a happy event by another man. He talked me into loving him and said, you wouldn't come back from the war anyway. And I had a weak moment too. You know well how weak women are. So what better can you do but forgive? It's already happened. I was sure something happened to you too, because you have not wrote to me in 3 months. I got all scared when I got your letter and you were still alive. I wish that for you, but forgive me, dearly friend. Maybe the baby will die, and then everything will be well again. I don't love this fellow no more since I know that you are still alive. Here, everything is very expensive. It's a good thing you are not here. At least at the front, food don't cost you nothing. The money you sent to me is very necessary. Love once more from your unforgettable wife, Anna. In a hospital, a wounded soldier to his mate, breathing heavily. One mustn't lose patience. It's already our second last stop, and then they'll bring us to Prague or Vienna, and soon I'll be home. Mail is given out. Perhaps. Yes. From my beloved Anna. A meeting of physicians in Berlin. Psychiatrist Dr. Zunz. Colleagues, here you see the most remarkable case of insanity. This man has committed so many crimes that nobody could live long enough to serve time for them all. This man suffers from the fixed idea that Germany is being driven to her destruction by her criminal ideology, as he chooses to call our noble idealism. He blames our government for the death of our children. He has declared publicly that the food situation is precarious. This alone proves his mental confusion. More than that, this man has expressed doubts about Germany's final victory. To top it off, he has questioned the usefulness of a U-boat war. In fact, he questions the U-boat altogether. He rejects the weapon not only as useless, but also as immoral. The pacifist. The development of weapons like poison gas, tanks, U-boats, and the 120-mile cannon has made it possible to suggest that the army be dishonorably discharged from the armed forces for cowardice in the face of the enemy. If military honor still means anything, this war ought to stop right now. But man cannot live without killing each other. And mass killing seems the most practical. tanks and gas will get bigger and better and eventually give way to bacteria. Epidemics which used to be the result of war will become the weapons of war. And even then, man will need to keep up the romantic image of himself as a heroic killer. So, the general who is being kept in business by the bacteriologist will still be wearing his uniform, his hero costume, just like the general of today who is being supplied by the chemist. The Germans can claim the glory of inventing the new weapons, the others the shame of perfecting them, or the other way around. It makes no difference. German science has become a whore, and its practitioners are its pimps. General headquarters has commandeered you into the service of the big lie. Noisy commotion. Some of the professors want to lay hands on the pacifist, but are held back by others. Professor Dr. Boas.
Colleagues, we've just witnessed a wild outburst of hatred by a man against his own fatherland. These are not the words of a mentally sick person. These are the words of a traitor. Such hate could not grow on German soil. Clearly the man is not insane, but in the pay of the enemy. Criminal enemy propaganda threatens to paralyze our vigor when final victory is just around the corner. The poison of pacifism has entered even healthy minds. And opposition to war, masquerading as idealism, encourages weaklings and draft dodgers. So, it is our task, gentlemen, to declare this case as lying outside our competence and to turn this man over to police.
A policeman takes the pacifist away. Last sub at command headquarters. The wall of the hall opposite the audience is covered by a colossal mural, the time of greatness. A suckling pig is being served. The band plays good old Noah knew it well. The banquet is nearing its end. Officers of the German and Austrian armies are clinking glasses in toasts. In the distance, thunder of artillery. A Hungarian hussar first lieutenant hurls a champagne glass against the wall. The Austrian general rises to the applause and clinks his spoon against his glass. Gentlemen, well then. After our officer corps has by a 4-year exemplary struggle held out against the superiority of a world of enemies, I place my full trust in my staff, in whom I'm confident that we will, even in the future, fearlessly face the enemy indeed squarely. Steeled in battle, my heroic soldiers, these brave men, go on towards new victories. We shall not waver. We shall know how to hit the enemy who is already cut to the quick, wherever it may be. And this day, gentlemen, this very day shall stand as a milestone in the history of our glorious army forevermore. In my corps, where all gentlemen are peacefully united,
We have in our staff German gentlemen, we have Bohemian gentlemen, we have Poles and Croatians, haven't we? And Romanian gentlemen are with us, and those of the Islamitic persuasion are here with us too. And have we also got representatives of our glorious Hungarian cavalry? In this family, not a sound of complaint. The scribblers, they always talk of national intolerance. I ask you, gentlemen, has anyone yet noticed such disharmony? Well then, hear what I say. We won't fold under the pressure of this inevitable holy war of defense by the German race against the Slavic race. War is obviously the most natural occupation of man. And our weapons in this exemplary fight are optimism and discipline. Oh, I think very highly of this discipline, but she must be made of steel. At the last inspection, I found things a bit slack out there. I'm sorry to say, but I had to find fault with the fact that not enough officers had fallen on the front. Well, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but what counts is showing good example instead of trying to bring your own precious carcass to safety. With God's help, will continue. I drink to the health of our almighty allies, welded together with us under the banner of battle-tested and battle-hardened Nibelungen Trost, shoulder to shoulder for better and worse, and I drink especially to the mothers, who have, according to nature, with pleasure, sacrificed their sons on the altar of the fatherland. A signals officer enters with a dispatch for the general staff officer. He opens it and stumbles drunkenly to the general and whispers something into his ear. The general: "Idiots!" The Prussian colonel: "Also, what's the problem?" All forward positions are taken, withdrawn to second line now. Who is responsible for that mess? German general staff officer: "Long live the Austrian conviviality." Austrian officer: "As long live the German organization." The general: Oh, gentlemen, us too, us Austrians too are following organized our flag. We're following the flag, we couldn't ask for more. The signals officer enters again, hastily with a dispatch for the general staff officer. He opens it and stumbles drunkenly to the general and whispers something into his ear. The general: "Those horned imbeciles." The Prussian colonel: "Oh, what's the problem now?" Second position wiped out, defense areas under heavy annihilating fire. Those inbreds spoiling our greatest successes. Ah, well, don't even ignore them. Let the band play, say, Poopsie to me. Poopsie as a what's that? You Austrians are classic. Poopsie. Very funny. Come on, say Poopsie to me. A German soldier never falls Just touch my poopsies, feel free. No, I prefer to grab your balls.
The signals officer enters again, hastily goes directly to the general and whispers something into his ear.
What? They are so miserable. These wretched pigs at the front. Oh, what's the problem now? Now we are really up shit creek. Also, don't get weak in the knees, you Austrians. Us Germans are concentrating all our thoughts on the inevitable final victory, and all I can say is, not a problem. Another German officer. The worst thing in the front is everyday raspberry jam. A cavalry captain from under the table.
Well, the colonel complains about the thunder of the artillery. He can't get his sleep at night. I said it all along. The situation is rather unfavorable. It will be another awful night this night. Nothing much can happen, but the noise in the night is a pain in the neck. A heavy detonation. Whoopsie. That was quite a whopper. Let's drink another glass of wine. Ho-lo-de-ro. The first one to throw up is a swine. Ho-lo-de-ro.
The signals officer enters an ashen white and goes directly to the general and whispers something into his ear. The general.
First, rebellion. Rebellion. Decimate a lot of these treacherous bastards. Throw a couple of fresh regiments into action. Round them up quickly, quickly. But the gas bombs aren't working either. What a pigsty of a mess, what a fuck up. Haven't I explicitly? What did I drum into that rebel pack? Charge the enemy with an almighty hooray and immediately stick the bayonet between his ribs. Not by the enemy. It's the hunger that got us. I said it all along. The calamity of our army will even drag my corps down with it. This incredible carelessness. Nothing in the brains but wine, women, and souls. Demoralizing. After a 4-year exemplary struggle against an exemplary enemy, our glorious soldiers, exemplary. Could this possibly mean that they even come right into here? What a pity. Who cares anyway? Every one of us will finish up in heaven for being so well behaved. So well.
horses surface from the sea and start galloping on the land. Water runs out of their eyes, a dead forest. Everything is chopped down and sawn up. Bare landscape. Fiery streaks on the horizon, red and green lights. Voices from down below. What's happening? What's happening? Voices from up above. The long-awaited counterattack. Voices from down below. We are stronger than ever, if only the weather will hold. So we've been told by command headquarters. Voices from up above. The weather obeys a different command. We are determined to rid your planet of all possible war fronts and all insolent earthlings cheeky enough to reach for the gods. A meteorite shower falls on Earth. Voices from down below. This cloud of fire. We are burned. Dear fatherland. Silence. Voices from up above. They are defeated. The night was wild. God's image is destroyed. Long silence. The voice of God.
I did not will it so.